Hi everyone, welcome to another chapter from Class 9 NCERT CBSE Biology. And today's chapter is chapter number 9 from an NCERT book, that is Reproduction in Animals. It is an indeed very important chapter from the examination point of view. So we must all learn this chapter and also understand this chapter very well. There are many important things that I'm going to discuss in this chapter, many important terms, many important organs that we are going to come to which may be new to us. So please pay attention and please try to remember whatever I'm telling, because this is going to be an important chapter from the examination point of view. So let's start with the chapter Reproduction in Animals. Before starting, let me tell you, or let me just give you a hint of what is reproduction. When we talk or tell the term reproduction, that is reproduction, that is production of the same thing or producing the same thing. So what does that mean? That is production of new individuals or production of offsprings, which is very much important or very much necessary for this world to go on, because variations or new generations have to come in to fill up the gap that is left devoid by the death and of the older generations. So let's start with the chapter. In this chapter, we are going to specifically discuss about the sexual reproduction in animals, that is both modes of reproduction we'll be discussing, but it will be mainly concentrated on the animals. So the first mode of reproduction is the asexual reproduction. Asexual means it does not involve the sexual mode. So it involves only one parent, which is sufficient to bring about or to generate or to give or to produce an offspring. So one parent is enough to produce an offspring. So we can understand it's a primitive mode of reproduction, and there is no genetic or exchange or genetic information exchange taking place. So not much variation is found in the offspring than that of the mother. Here you can see that how the expression or how the differentiation or how the reproduction takes place in an asexual mode. There is only one parent. First, there is the division of the nucleus. Then comes the division or the division of the cytoplasm along with the cytoplasmic organelles, that is the cell organelles, and finally there is a distinction or there is a division formed and two daughter cells are formed. This is very simple, or in order to say this happens very simple way and in the primitive or the lower organisms. When we move on to the higher organisms, it is the sexual mode of reproduction that you see not only in animals but also in humans. So we are going to talk more about the sexual mode of reproduction in humans in this chapter. First is the asexual mode of reproduction. Now, under asexual mode of reproduction, as I told you, involves only one parent. There are different modes through which this reproduction takes place. The last I told you that one mother cell, first the nucleus divides, then the cytoplasm divides, and finally it forms into two daughter nuclei. So this type or this particular type of reproduction is called the fission reproduction or the binary fission. So the fission is the division of a single entity into two or more parts, and this regeneration of the parts, separate entities, resemble that of the original. I told you that because there is no genetic information change, there is no change or exchange of the genetic information, because it comes from only one single parent. There is no variation in the offspring. The offspring is exactly similar like that of the mother or like that of the parent. The next division of the nucleus is followed by division of the cell organelles in the cytoplasm and finally the cytoplasm. So I told you that first is the nucleus division takes place, that is the brain of the cell. So first the nucleus divides. Once the nucleus has divided, now the cytoplasm divides. The cytoplasm starts dividing. Along with that, see, first the nucleus divides and then the cytoplasm starts dividing. Now the cytoplasm, along with the cytoplasm, the organelles, the cytoplasmic organelles also divides, because those are also important for a particular functioning or proper functioning of the cell. Now once the cytoplasmic organelles along with the cytoplasm has divided it, there is a septum formed and two daughter nuclei are given to. This daughter nuclei represents exactly that of the parent. So thus two cells are produced from the parent cell. Example, amoeba. Amoeba reproduces by binary fission, which divides into two cells. From one parent it divides into two cells. And amoeba reproduces by binary fission, which is dividing. If one parent gives rise to many daughter cells, this type of fission is called the multiple fission. So if when it is two cells, it is giving rise to two cells, it is called binary fission. When one parent give rise to multiple number of daughter cells, it is called multiple fission. Binary fission and multiple fission. Please keep it in mind because these are the important terms that you might come across with. The next, so this is the binary fission that I was talking in amoeba. That is first the parent amoeba. Now the elongation of the nucleus takes place and slowly the nucleus divides. Then division of the nucleus and the cytoplasm takes place. A septum is formed and finally two daughter cells are formed. These daughter cells are exactly or identical to that of the mother cell. Next is another mode of reproduction, not another mode, another form of asexual reproduction, that is the budding. So this takes place mostly in hydra. Now what happens in budding? Let's see. A bud starts as an outgrowth on the parent body. So this is the parent body of the hydra. A small sprout or a small elongation or a small projection like thing comes out from the parent body. Now in this bud grows and it becomes a new individual organism. In some organisms, the buds remain attached to the parent's body, example yeast. In some, it detaches from the parent body and develops into a complete mature individual as in hydra. This type of reproduction is called budding. This type of reproduction is called budding. Now what happens? Here you see this projection comes out for the first time in the parent plant. Now slowly this projection grows in size. It takes the nutrition and everything from that of the parent plant and slowly it grows in size and resembles exact like that of a hydra but in a miniature version. Now again it starts growing when it is properly grown or it is enough grown so that even if it is detached off from the mother, it can grow, then it itself detaches itself from the mother and it grows separately into a new hydra. So this is an example of asexual mode of reproduction but is little different from the what we studied in the last slide, that is the binary fission. So this is also another method or another way of asexual reproduction taking place. Next, now we come on to the most important part of this chapter, that is the sexual mode of reproduction. The sexual mode of reproduction is mostly found in the most advanced or the higher organisms, mostly in the humans, animals as well as in plants. The main criteria for sexual reproduction is it involves two parents, that is one male and one female parent, and each of the male and the female parent gives an egg and a sperm respectively. The female parent gives an egg and the male parent gives a sperm. Now these two fuses to produce a zygote. Now the zygote is a 2N condition, that is it has the chromosomes of the mother as well as the father and then it forms the zygote. This zygote now starts dividing. From 1 it becomes 2 to 2 to 4, 4 to 8. It keeps on dividing this way and finally it forms an embryo. So this is the whole process through which a baby takes a birth or baby comes into being or the process of reproduction. Now let's see what is there. This type of reproduction involves two parents and takes place by the fusion of the male and the female gametes. Just now what I told you, the males and females have different reproductive organs. Obviously they have different reproductive organs through which they produce the different types of the sperm as well as the egg. The organs produce male female gametes whereas fuse together to form the offspring. Genetic information from both the parents is inherited. So the genetic information is inherited. In asexual, it is not done. I told you in asexual reproduction, there is no exchange of genetic information taking place. Examples, human. And so we are going to discuss about the two types of reproductive system of the male and the female in order to understand exactly what happens or how does this process of sexual reproduction takes place in the advanced organism. So this is a male reproductive system. It consists of various parts, and this male reproductive system produces the sperms which goes and fuses with the female reproductive egg, and this forms the zygote. We will be discussing this, or will be discussing about the different parts of the male reproductive system separately. In my next slide, we'll be discussing, where I'll be explicitly telling you which part, what is the function, how it goes on, and how important they are. So this is the male reproductive system consisting of a pair of testes and a pair of sperm ducts and a penis. So it consists of a pair of testes. This is a testis. This too is a testis, so it's called the pair of testes. A pair of sperm ducts. So this is the sperm duct, and a penis. So this is the penis. So this is the organ from where the sperms are ejaculated. The sperms are given out. The testes are located outside the male body. Sperms are produced in the testes, and sperms are the male gametes. The testes, these are the two testes or a pair of testes. This is an important information or an important note that you should know, that in our human body, the testes and the penis, these are the two organs which remain outside that of the male body. Why so? It remains outside because I told you the testis is that organ which produces the sperms. Now sperms are produced, or sperms remain alive in a temperature which is 2 to 3 degrees lesser than our normal body temperature. So in order to produce sperms, or in order to produce healthy sperms, these testes are located outside the male body in order so that the sperms can be produced, because the temperature is required 2 to 3 degrees less than the normal body temperature, and so it remains outside that of the human body. And now this testis produces the sperms, and these sperms are also known as the male gametes, which fuses with that of the egg to form the zygote, and later on a fetus or an offspring or a child. Now let's see the different parts of this male reproductive system in order to understand exactly what does they do. So this is a male reproductive system. This was the front view of the male reproductive system, and here what I'm showing you is the side view. So let's understand exactly what are the functions of each of the part of the male reproductive system. So the first is the penis. So this is the penis. What is the penis? The penis is an erectile organ, and it is the common passage for both the sperms as well as urine for male, or for boys it is the same passage. Next is this is the penis. Next is the scrotum. This is the scrotum. This is the scrotum. Now the scrotum is a sac-like structure which contains the testis. Now scrotum is a sac-like structure. I told you the testis remains outside the body. Now simply to keep it there, because it is an important thing, what it has been done, it has been given a protective covering. So this protective covering is called the scrotum, which is a sac-like structure, and it holds the testis. Next is the testis. So what I told, testis, there are two in number. So they are in one pair on each side, and they produces the sperms as well as the male sex hormone testosterone. I have not yet discussed about testosterone. In my coming slides, I'll be talking about testosterone also. So the first thing is penis, I told you. The second is the scrotum, that is the sac which holds the testis. Third is the testis itself, which produces the sperms as well as the male sex hormone testosterone. Next is the urethra. Now this is your urethra. This is the urethra. Now the urethra, here this is the urethra. Next is the urethra. So this is the urethra. It is the common passage for both the sperms as well as the urine. It is the similar like that of the penis. So it is through the urethra that is the sperms as well as the urine is given out. Next is the vas deferens. This is the vas deferens. So what happens after the testis produces the sperms are transported from the testis. It goes through the vas deferens and goes and gets onto the urethra. Also called the sperm duct, carries the sperms from the testis to the urethra. So it is also known as the vas deferens or sperm duct. Because it is sperm duct, why? Because it carries the sperms from the testis to that of the urethra. The next is the prostate gland, the seminal vesicles, and another part which has not been marked, that is here, these are the Cowper's gland. So this Cowper's gland, the seminal vesicle and the prostate glands, these all provide nourishment to the sperms. In order that the sperms are healthy, they all provide nourishment to the sperms. Same function as that of the prostate gland provides nourishment to that of the sperms. So all of this provides nourishment. The three glands, the prostate gland, the seminal vesicle and the Cowper's gland, they all provide nourishment to that of the sperm. So I think I have made myself clear about each of the part of the male reproductive organ and what are their functions and why are they important. If you want, you can take a snapshot of this because this will help you in learning also the names of the parts along with their functions. You can take a snapshot of this particular slide. It will help you in learning for the male reproductive organ. Moving on to the next slide. The next slide is the sperm. We have talked about the sperm. This is another very important thing. This is the smallest cell present in our body. This is the smallest cell of the human body. The sperms are the male gametes produced by the testis, the human beings, and they are produced by the testis, and the millions are produced in one day. Millions and millions of sperms are produced in each day. Each sperm is a single microscopic cell. So please remember, these are the characteristics, or if you are told to write about the sperm, these points should come. This is a single microscopic cell having a head, a middle piece and a tail as its part. So it is a single cell, it is a microscopic cell, it cannot be seen with the naked eye, and it has a head. This is the head, it has a middle piece and it has a tail. The tail is quite a big tail. Now what is that? The head contains with a nucleus, with a single set of chromosome. I told you that sperms and eggs both have single set of chromosome because they on fusing or they on fertilizing form 2N condition, that is two sets of chromosomes comes, and that is how the offspring or the future generation is produced. Offspring. So head contains the nucleus. Obviously the head contains the nucleus as well as the genetic information which is passed on to the egg during the development of the or during the process of fertilization. The middle piece contains a large number of mitochondria that provides energy during the movement. Now the sperm has to move a long way. That is from the male sex organ, from the male body, it travels onto the uterus of the female. Because it moves, it has a lot of movement, so it is provided with the tail which helps in the movement, of the sperm, and the middle piece contains the mitochondria, because we know that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. So the mitochondria provides the sperm with the energy or the ATP in order to swim, in order to travel. It provides the sperms with the energy, and the tail, that is the third part, it helps in the locomotion of the sperm. So this is all about the sperm. It is a single cell microscopic structure and consists of a head, a middle piece and a tail. It is the smallest cell of the human body, and the head consists of the nucleus with a single set of chromosomes. The middle piece consists of the mitochondria, which produces energy, and the tail helps in the movement of the sperm. So this is all about the sperm, which you have to remember. Along with this diagram also you have to practice, so that to give a complete answer. The next thing, that is the male sex hormone or the testosterone. I told you which organ of the male reproductive part produces the testosterone. It is the testis that produces the testosterone. So testosterone is the primary male sex hormone and is produced by the testis. So the testis produces the sperms as well as the testosterone. It is responsible for the development of the sex organs, production of sperms, and also of the secondary sexual characteristics or secondary sex characteristics. So what are the secondary sex characters that is found in a male or that develops in a male? So the second sex characteristics are, that refers to the development of the beard, the mustache, in that of the boys, hair on the armpit, on the face, the chest, as well as the pubic regions, broadening of the shoulders, low pitched voice. All these changes are changes of the adolescence or on entering of the puberty. This will be discussing still more in detail when I talk about, or when we learn about the chapter entering into adolescence, that is another chapter from the NCERT Biology. So as of now, the secondary sexual characteristics, these are the characteristics which gets developed in the male due to the production of the hormone testosterone. Now let's come to the female reproductive organ or the female reproductive system. This is how a female reproductive system looks compared to that of the male. Now let's see each of the part, what is its function, why does it have that particular function. The first thing is the vagina. The vagina is the birth canal, and it is the route through which the menstrual blood leaves the body. This is the vagina. This is the vagina. It is the birth canal. It is through which, that is, the babies are given birth or babies are born, and it also is the passage for the menstrual blood to come out during the time of the menstruation. The next is the cervix. It is also called the neck of the uterus. It is the neck of the uterus. It allows all the fluids to pass through the uterus and the vagina. So it is the connective between the uterus and the vagina. So all the fluids can pass through the uterus and the vagina, or it is also known as the neck of the uterus. Next is the infundibulum. Infundibulum, it catches and directs the release egg. Now what happens when this ovary, after producing the egg, it gives out the egg, the infundibulum, it catches the egg. It needs to catch the egg and it directs the released egg. It directs means it puts the released egg into this fallopian tube or the oviduct. Now let's see for the uterine tube. What is the uterine tube? Transports of sperms and passage of the fertilized egg to the uterus. Transport of sperms and passage of the fertilized egg to the uterus. Next is the fallopian tube. That is the channels for, this is the fallopian tube. This is the fallopian tube. So we have a pair of ovary. we have a pair of fallopian tubes also. We have 2 ovaries as well as 2 fallopian tubes. That is, it is a channel for the eggs to transport as well as the fertilization. So it is through this passage that the eggs moves, and it is here that the eggs get fertilized. That is, the sperms enter in through here, flow and meet the egg into this fallopian tube. The next is the fimbriae. It is the finger leg projection. See here, it is the finger leg projections. It catches the egg, and one of the ovaries, it catches the eggs and puts it into the fallopian tube during the time of ovulation. So during the time of ovulation, one of the eggs that is released from, and remember this, that during the ovulation, it is only one of the ovary every month releasing only one egg. It is not that both the ovaries simultaneously releases the eggs. No, it is in one of the month, either this ovary, then the next month it is the other ovary releasing the egg. So it alternates every month, not both the ovaries releases the egg. It is only one ovary releasing the egg in 1 month. So the fimbriae, it is catches that ovary or the egg and puts it in the fallopian tube during the process of ovulation. The next is ovary. These are 2 in number, or it is 1 pair, and it produces the eggs just like that. In the male reproductive organ, we saw it is the testis producing the sperms, it is the ovaries producing the eggs over here, along with the hormone, the female sex hormone, that is Oestrogen and Progesterone. So there are the 2 female sex hormones, that is Oestrogen or Estrogen and Progesterone. And finally, the uterine cavity. The uterine cavity, it receives the fertilized egg. Now this fertilized egg starts growing in number, and it comes and gets implanted into this uterine cavity. Once it gets implanted in this uterine cavity, it stays there for the next 9 months into this cavity, where the fetus develops, where the baby develops, and this all happens over here. So this uterine cavity holds the fetus for the next 9 months back on. Once the fertilized egg comes and settles here, it stays there for the 9 months till the baby is delivered. So hope I'm clear with all the parts of the female sex organ. If you want, you can take a snapshot of this also, because even this is important, the diagram, the particular labeling along with the functions of each of them. You might not get the function of each of them, but they might ask you the function of any one of them. You have to tell them. So it's better you take a screenshot, and it will be easier for you to learn for all the parts of the female sex organ. Now moving on to the next slide, that is the female reproductive organ, the characteristics of them. So what is that? The female reproductive system consists of a pair of ovaries, we have already told, a pair of fallopian tube, oviducts, and a single uterus. Ova are produced by the ovaries, that is the ova or the ovum or the egg cell, they are produced by the ovaries. Fallopian tubes, also known as the oviducts, carry the ova from the ovaries to the uterus, whereas uterus holds the growing embryo or the fetus and helps in holding the pregnancy for the next 9 months. The next is the female sex cell, that is the ovum. Well, what is the ovum, or what is it exactly? The ovary produces the female gametes known as the ovum or the ova. In human beings, it is a single mature egg or ovums and is released in the oviduct, fallopian tube, and it is respective side of the ovary every month. I told you just now, only one side of the ovary will produce 1 ova per month. It is not that both of them releases eggs in every month. And the ovum is a single cell, much larger than the sperm. Ovum is also a single cell like that of the sperm, but it is the largest cell of the human body. So these are the 2 contrast characteristics, that is sperm is the smallest cell of the human body, smallest single cell, whereas ova or the egg cell is the largest largest cell of the human body. This is a non-motile and carried to the uterus by the oviduct. It does not move. It is non-motile. It does not move about like that of the sperm. So from the ovary, it is carried into the oviduct, because the femore, I told you, the femore, they catch the ova and put it into the fallopian tube in order to, and there it stays there unless and until it gets fertilized by that of the sperm. The next is the female sex hormone, the oestrogen and progesterone. I told you the male sex hormone is testosterone, whereas the female sex hormone is oestrogen and progesterone. Oestrogen or progesterone is a primary female sex hormone secreted by the ovaries. It is responsible for the development of the female reproductive organs like that of testosterone, secondary sexual characteristics, and development of the female gamete, that is the egg. And ovum is maintenance of the menstrual cycle. So it also maintains the menstrual cycle, that is the hormone changes which is brought about due to which the menstrual cycle also takes place. Now, what are the secondary changes or the secondary sexual characteristics that the changes is brought about due to that of the oestrogen and progesterone? It is the development of the breast, the hips widen in that of the female, onset of the menstrual cycle, and the pubic hair begins to grow. These are the different changes that is brought about, or that is, so these are the few changes that is seen or that happens due to the secretion of the female sex hormone, that is oestrogen and progesterone, that is development of the breast, the widening of the hips, the development of the pubic hair, and also starting or onset of the menstrual cycle. Finally, the process of fertilization. So what happens? It is a process of the fusion of this male and the female gametes. The male gamete that is produced in the male and the female gamete that is produced by the females, they fuse together to form the zygote. Both the gametes contains haploid, a single set of chromosomes. I told you this during this course of the video number of times, that both of them consist of a single set of chromosome. Then only these two combine to form a double set or a diploid set of chromosome. Fuse and thus maintain the diploid or double number of chromosomes. The fertilized ovum is now called a zygote. In human, fertilization takes place in the fallopian tube, and then the zygote is carried to the uterus. I told you that in humans, the fertilization takes place in the fallopian tube because the eggs does not move. They are immotile, so they remain in the fallopian tube. It is the sperms that swim through the vagina, uterus, and comes to the fallopian tube and meet the egg. Which of the sperm is lucky, it go and sets itself onto the egg, and then the egg gets fertilized. After fertilization, the egg starts dividing itself in the fallopian tube. After a stage, that is a 16-cell stage, it is also known as the blastula. That time the cell starts moving and it enters into the uterine cavity. It enters into the uterine cavity and implants itself. After it implants itself, then it starts growing, and finally the fetus is formed. It stays there from the 9 months till the delivering of the baby. Tube and then zygote is carried to the uterus. Inside the uterus, it undergoes repeated divisions and grows and becomes an embryo. This I just now told you. So this is what happens after the process of fertilization till the delivering of the baby, or till the delivering of the offspring. So this brings us to the end of this chapter of reproduction in animals. This is a very important chapter and is also a little bit difficult chapter because it involves new things, new terms, new conditions, and new many new informations are being given, so it will take some time for you to understand. Still, if you have any questions, any doubts, you can put in the comment section. I'll surely get back to you on them. And till then, signing off. Stay safe, stay healthy, and if you have liked my video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. I'll be coming back with the MCQ from this chapter. Till then, goodbye, take care.